Okay, so I hope you had fun practicing this principle with those 6 examples. So let me walk you through the way that I have revised them in the past, and actually that I've seen other writers revise them in workshops with me as well. So here we go. So each preparation of the solution is done twice. This is a tough one to revise because it's taken completely out of context. So there's really two ways to do this. But before I show you, again, preparation of, here is the culprit, right, of the nominalization. So we're looking for something with the verb prepare. So either each solution is prepared twice, which still has a passive in there, but it's probably from a method section, so it's not the worst thing that can happen. Or you could make it more active, we prepared each solution twice. So the second example, consideration should be given to an acquisition of these properties. So here is another one, but there's also a nominalization here. This should be consider and this should be acquire. So here are some of the solutions. We should consider acquiring these properties, or let's say the University of Maryland, Baltimore should consider acquiring these properties. What I often see happen, this is a good example for this, in a case of a sentence nominalizations, it's often not clear who the actor is. So here you have to kind of quote unquote invent an actor because you didn't write the sentence in the first place, so you don't know who's considering. So that's why I said either we, or I invented, I kind of thought, well, maybe it's the University of Maryland, or MERETI, or whatever organization should acquire these properties. Okay. So that's this example. And again, I think the important piece here is that when you're revising this in your own work, it's going to be a little easier because you know who's going to be an actor in a sentence like this, where the actor is actually obscured. Third example, it is widely known that the engineers at Sandia Labs have become active participants in the search and rescue operations in recent years. It's a little tougher because there's no off, but here we have something to have become active participants. So maybe we should focus on participate. So here is one example. The first revision. In recent years, engineers at Sandia Lab have participated in search and rescue operations. So I've also taken it is widely known that, which, is kind of a filler phrase. Sometimes it's necessary. We call this sometimes in academic writing hedging, where you sort of hedge. Like a hedge is a little green barrier that can go around your property. Depending on its height, it can be pretty high, like a hedge. So you're kind of marking off something, indicating to your reader, hey, I'm speculating here. So these expressions aren't necessarily bad, but often they're really unnecessary. In this case, just let's go straight to the point. And I think in both science and scientific writing, getting straight to the point is really useful when you're describing other people's research. Now, when you're describing your contribution, some hedging might be more appropriate. But anyways, so here I've taken this part out and just focused on the actual information. And I pulled up in recent years to the beginning of the sentence. I, as a reader, always find it easier if the writer gives me an idea of any temporal or time considerations at the beginning of the sentence rather than at the end. That's a personal preference of mine, and it also creates a little bit of variety in sentence structure if you have this insertion in recent years comma before the sentence. Another revision could be engineers at Sandia Lab have participated in recent search and rescue operations. So rather than saying recent years, I make these rescue operations recent. Now here you could say that I'm interpreting a little bit what the original sentence means, and that's true. But again, if I were the writer, I would know anyways what it means. So if you're revising your own work this way, you're going to be the ones in power and authority over the narrative you're presenting, and you'll know what you're saying. All right, next example. They will also be involved in abstract development, workshop facilitation, and presentation. So again, no off, but there is be involved, app development, facilitation, presentation. So let's see how we can make this more active. They will also develop abstract. They will also develop abstracts. There should be an S here. I apologize for that. They will also develop abstract, facilitate workshops, and give presentations about analyzing and interpreting the data. So analysis and interpretation was also changed to a more active verb. And now that I'm seeing this, you could probably say and present about. See, I even missed the normalization in my own revision. There you go. It's very insidious. It can creep in so easily. So they will also develop abstracts, facilitate workshops, and present about analyzing and interpreting the data. Okay, so again, you'll never finish revising. This is a good example of. Okay, next example, I think we have two more. Crowdfunding gives medical researchers allowances to investigate issues and execute the collection of the initial data. So here we have an off, so that's good. So we know there's something to get rid of, but there is more. So crowdfunding allows medical researchers to investigate issues and collect initial data. So even the giving allowances could just be allow, right? Allows medical researchers to investigate issues and collect initial data. Or another version that would also work is with crowdfunding, medical researchers can investigate issues and collect initial data. So you're taking out this allow and really make the medical researchers the subject, which, depending on where your emphasis is your emphasis more on crowdfunding or on the medical researchers? You have some options here. And then last but not least, in early 2015, the Environmental Protection Agency EPA issued an announcement about the harmful effects of greenhouse gases that can lead to the destruction of the Earth's ozone layers in the near future. So here we have another off. So let's see. In early 2015, the Environmental Protection Agency, this is a good example, issued an announcement about, so about is the culprit, not off, just announce. So issue an announcement can just be announced that the harmful effects of greenhouse gases can destroy the ozone layer in the near future. Rather than can lead to the destruction, just they can destroy. Right? So you're saving some words, shortening it up, and you're becoming much more direct. And I tell you, when you do this, it's almost like you're doing CPR to your text. And CPR is I don't know what it's, compression. It's when we're making the movement right now. Of course, you can see me. When you do chest compression, when somebody has had a heart attack or has fallen to the ground, you do chest compression. You basically revive. You revive your writing in a way that is quite powerful from a reader's perspective. So this is one of my favorite principles to teach and to talk with writers about, particularly science writers or academic writers in general, because we nominalize the heck out of the English language, and it really isn't necessary. All right, so I'll talk to you, and you'll hear me in about a few minutes. If you're taking a break, hopefully you do, on our second principle.